Oh God, Inception's about to occur.
Inception about to occur. Oh, you have the stream
Oh no.
open.
Oh no. I have myself. Okay, I better minimize that before crap gets weird.
Dude, you messed up my intro, man. Like, I was going to
Okay,
have
sorry.
my.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You know what? Honestly, whatever. Hey, guys, Lone Chemist Podcast. Thanks
The
for.
realest podcast on the market. On the market. The realest podcast on the YouTubes.
Honestly, like, it might be just like the premier real podcast. It's not like one of the most real podcasts. I think it's the most real podcast. So, that's good. Yeah. I'm glad you're, in line with my premise. Well, yeah. No more dad jokes right now. My name is Johnny. I'm the Lone Chemist, and God damn it, I'm so goddamn excited. I have my boy Jay, the head honcho, the mastermind of Law of Cinema. Welcome back, my friend.
The only mind of Law of Cinema. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, word. There we go. So shit,
Supporting
man.
Johnny's favorite film. Just
Oh
so
god.
everybody knows.
We'll get into that. People watch my channel like I have no shortage of shit to say about The Last Jedi. Oh man. Anyway, all right. What's going on, man? First, before we get into the topics, what's up with you? How is everything going? So I remember you said like you're about to graduate high school. So are you
Yes.
when you graduate?
I graduate June 8th, I believe, which is
Solid.
yeah, it's pretty exciting. Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank
That,
you.
nice, man. Wait, so and then you're going back to California for film school
Yeah,
in probably August, right? I imagine.
right, right.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, beginning.
And so I was confused. Like, do you actually did you live out there beforehand, or are you like in the South now, or like where do you situated?
Yeah, I lived in California for the first half of my life, the first 9 years, and then I lived in South Carolina for the second nine. I am now
Got it.
18, which
Got
is
it.
weird to say out loud. I just turned 18, so I'm now legally an adult, but not really because,
When was your birthday?
my birthday was April.
Oh, word. Nice. My birthday was last Friday, so I'm officially out of my mid-20s.
Well, I'm now no longer the youngest person in this circle. I am, but I'm only that by 1 year because I just found out Houston is 19 definitively.
Ah, there you go. Well, whatever, guy. We're all dying. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
But hey, I mean, I'll die last, so that's pretty cool.
See, like the dirt was already in my face, and you had to just like kick me while I'm down. Like, come on, man.
I'm just trying to be optimistic, but
Oh, for your life, sure. You
okay. So on the topic of optimism, we can go to Last Jedi if you want.
let's just talk about Star Wars generally. All right, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I am not a huge fan of Star Wars, like the whole like genre and the whole like series. To be honest with you, like I appreciate the first three movies because I understand their influence in cinema is kind of absurd. Like they really, like with the exception of like some superhero stuff in terms of fantasy epics, you can't really put anything close to it. So like I respect and I admire Star Wars a lot more than I enjoy the films, but I do see why people love them. But and then the prequels were about 6 hours of collective memes.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons that I love them, and also I think that I've said this to other people. I think I was actually born in the perfect generation when it comes to Star Wars because I grew up with the prequels, so
Yeah.
I sort of view those behind the shroud of nostalgia. So I enjoy them in that regard, but then I also like them for the memes they generated, and I've just sort of grown to sort of unironically like them more as time's gone on. But like I said, it was a good starting point to have nostalgia for those, and then I'm able to appreciate the original trilogy as the classics, and then now I'm sort of able to judge the new trilogy sort of clearly.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm the same way. Like I was born in '93, so like I obviously wasn't around in the '70s. Much like my other podcast hosts will tell you that I'm like 90 years old. Dude, like they legitimately give me shit for my age, and I'm not the oldest person in the podcast. Like,
The secret podcast you're talking
yeah,
about,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they're always like, yeah, you 90 years old man, got a walker with your fucking lab. Nice, dude, sick. I'm like, I'm
your Dr. Wiley lab coat. I don't know if you get that reference.
well.
Meg Man, Dr. Wiley. He's
Oh,
he's an old guy in a lab coat.
see. I wasn't a Sega guy back in the day, but regardless, we're getting off topic here. Okay, what the hell are we talking about?
Did you say Sega?
What's up?
Did you say Sega?
Yeah, right.
It's Capcom. It's
Oh,
Capcom.
that's right. It is Capcom. Damn it.
It's
See, that's how not woke I am about that like Mega Man shit.
Well,
Ugh.
speaking of Sega, you asked what other topics. The Sonic trailer just came out.
We'll save that to the end. We
Okay.
can't unwrap the chocolate before. Yeah, just don't do that. I have a lot to say about that too. All right. Anyway, so Star Wars. I'm like you. Like I obviously didn't grow up in the 70s or 80s or whatever. Like I'm a 90s kid, and like by the time I appreciated film, the prequels were in full force. So that's what I think about like the first Star Wars movie that I saw. I saw bits and pieces. Like remember, fucking Return of the Jedi when I was a kid because my dad had it on VHS. But oh, man,
Can we at least acknowledge that? Do you at least agree that the prequel soundtracks are the best of the saga?
oh, absolutely,
Yeah, they're freaking
undisputedly.
fantastic. Like
Yeah,
Duel of Fates is legitimately my favorite song of all time. Like just out of any genre.
really.
That's how much I love it. Yeah, and then Battle of the Heroes is just fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Like in terms of like a score, it's like it's fantastic. Um, but yeah, like
Which is why, yeah, sorry,
no, please go
yeah,
ahead.
which is why I was going to say it's kind of frustrating that they never really call back to that with motifs like they do all the time with the original trilogy, like in the sequel trilogy. Although they do this across all Star Wars material, um, they'll call back to like the Imperial March like 50 billion times, but then only call back to Duel of the Fates once for like 2 seconds in Solo, like
Yeah,
the least watched Star Wars movie.
yeah. Isn't that crazy how like Disney was banking on that thing making a lot of money because they're like, oh, the Force Awakens make a lot of money and the Last Jedi make a lot of money, so any Star Wars movie make a lot of money, right? And nah.
Well, I heard somebody say that Rogue One, if the order that Rogue One and Solo came out in was reversed, that Solo would have done as well as Rogue One did, and Rogue One would have done as well as Solo did. I don't actually know about that. I mean, I think that's kind of interesting to think about, but I actually liked Rogue One.
No, I liked Rogue One too. It was dark, it was gritty, and like I didn't like a lot of the characterizations, but I think it nailed the aesthetic of like a darker kind of Star Wars, like leading directly into like the inciting incident of the entire the original trilogy. I thought that was great, but like I'm gonna chalk it up to this. Like I think that the Last Jedi was such a polarizing, divisive movie where I think people just legitimately lost interest in Star Wars after that. Because like Last Jedi was in 2017, and then I think Solo was in June of 2018. I want to say something like that. Like, yeah, like but for the fans that I've talked to, like honestly, like I haven't seen Solo at least all the way through, but all my friends like they hate the Last Jedi and they love Solo. Like, can you attest to that? Is Solo good? Like, I've seen like bits and
Have
pieces
you
of
not
it.
seen it?
No, I've seen bits and pieces. Go ahead, spoil it. I don't give a shit.
All right, so before we go there, I just want to say real quick that I actually do appreciate Rogue One just because of the fact that they made a premise for a Star Wars movie out of a plot hole from A New Hope. I just love it for that reason. I thought it was really creative that they did that. That was the crux of that movie. Yeah, I because I went into Solo just hearing nothing about how like insanely meh it was. I actually
Yeah.
ended up kind of enjoying it more than I think I would have if I hadn't heard any of that buzz. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I thought it was decent. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't. The problem is that it wasn't necessary and that it's so obviously a cash grab to everyone involved. And I
Yeah.
think that the fundamental reason why a lot of people didn't like it isn't because it wasn't a good movie. It's just because there's other stuff they would rather be seeing.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure like they were trying to use Solo as like the leading premise for like Solo movies for specific like archetypes in Star Wars. Like the Obi-Wan movie, I think was canceled recently, right? Like a
Yeah, but I was bummed about that. But apparently, it's been turned into a Disney Plus
ah,
service. Yeah,
got it.
if that happens, I'll die happy being only subscribed to Disney Plus.
Just for that.
Yeah, I'll subscribe twice if that's possible.
Subscribe twice. All right, so let's get into this. So I I have a really weird sentiment on the new movies, like the Force Awakens, obviously, and the Last Jedi, and then Rise of Skywalker. So for the Force Awakens,
Was that
I
you
remember
swooning?
what's up.
Was that you swooning because you love the movie so much?
Well, that was me puking the microphone, but
That's
what?
typically the sound I make when I talk about a movie I love. Oh man, Citizen Kane.
Wait, you vomit when you talk about Citizen Kane? Really?
No, that's the sound I make when I love movies.
but that's not a swoon. A swoon's like, oh.
I really violently love it. What were you talking? Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Yeah. Oh God, you're memeing on me too hard, man. I'm the meme king. You can't take that crown away from me. So The Force Awakens, like, I don't know. I have a weird kind of sentiment with that movie in particular because it felt like J.J. Abrams just did the preceding Star Trek movie, where legitimately it felt like the style was like kind of ripped off from that. I mean, obviously it's a J.J. Abrams movie, like the lens flares, the quick cuts and stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed The Force Awakens. It was a fun movie. It was entertaining. It was a good kind of return to form. But I do feel like it just tried to capitalize on. You seen South Park, right?
No.
Okay, never mind. It tried to capitalize on unmitigated nostalgia, like a little bit too much. Like, for example, I mean, like the whole way they introduced Rey's character, the whole incident with the Starkiller base. It just felt like they were doing this for like, you remember these guys, like totally, like you're gonna like the movie now. But actually, it's funny because Endgame is something similar, but they do it in a very effective way. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But
Well, I mean, I would argue that Force Awakens did it in an effective way too. But really quick, when you say that he was sort of recreating the previous Star Trek movie, you mean Star Trek 2009 or Star Trek Beyond?
Star Trek Beyond came out in 2016, and I think
did it?
Yeah. But like
I don't
you
remember.
know what I mean? Where like J.J. Abrams' style like was kind of, how do I put this? Like Into Darkness came out in 2010, right? Or
I th- uh 2010 or 2011.
something like that. But basically, like the style. I'm not saying it was like copied verbatim for Star Wars, but it did seem like it was just kind of much of the same, at least in my eyes. I'm not saying it was like it was not visually appealing or anything like that. I love J.J. Abrams, little visual quirks that he does. It just, for me, it felt like, okay, I've seen you do very, very similar things in another space opera movie, and it's like, okay, I want like. They were building this as like the rebirth of the Star Wars franchise, and it just kind of felt contrived, if that makes any sense.
Isn't that kind of what you want though? Like if a director is coming into a franchise, you would hope that they would leave their mark on it because, like, presumably that's if there's a director that you like coming into a franchise and you're excited about it because what you've seen from him that you think he's
For
going to bring
sure.
to it. And then I really like J.J. Abrams, not least because he's me from the future. Both our names are J.J.
I need you to leave the podcast.
Okay.
But no, I see what you're saying. Where like, obviously, you want to buy into like a premise or like an aesthetic that a director has for sure. I mean, that's why I love every Tarantino movie that's ever been made. Like, they all have kind of the same kind of ethos going. But like, the problem is, like, okay, let's take Damien Chazelle for example. Damien Chazelle did two very, very, not similar, but like kind of in the same realm of like the ambitious artist that's like trying to like starve himself with creativity. And then he did First Man, where I mean you think it's kind of a weird premise for him to engage in, but because of his kind of directorial flair he has, you can tell that it's a movie by Damien Chazelle. And I would have loved that if the genre of the movie that J.J. Abrams did just before that was a little bit different. But the problem is it's just another space epic, which is like, that's the only problem I have with it. I'm not saying that it was a bad it was bad aesthetically. I just thought that I would have liked a little more variance like in between the two movies. But like, and keep in mind, I haven't seen The Force Awakens in about 3 years, and I haven't seen Star Trek Into Darkness in about 6 or whatever the fuck it is. So like, I'm speaking purely like speculatively and like really shady memory. So, but like, I don't know. I feel like I'm talking in circles. I'm trying to like get my point.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
you made an interesting point bringing in Tarantino because he's there's rumors about him directing a Star Trek movie or writing.
Yeah.
Was it writing or directing?
He was always saying like he wanted to do like, I know one of his hit lists was like an Iron Man movie, which is not going to be made anymore. Spoilers. And then he wanted to do like a Star Trek movie and then like some other sci-fi thing or horror movie or something like that. But yeah, Star Trek's been on his hit list for a while.
Well, yeah. Well, presumably, it wouldn't really be that much of a problem if there wasn't that much variance in direction between Tarantino's last movie and Star. But I get what you were saying about the genre. But I
Yeah.
think there was enough variance. Like, the cinematography of Force Awakens is, I think, noticeably different from Star Trek in that, like, in Star Trek, you see a lot of handheld, and the lens flares are almost like obnoxiously in your face, but intentionally.
Yeah.
I think that was toned back a lot in Star Wars, just because it's
For
not
sure, yeah, no,
known for
it's
that.
more subtle for sure, and like, and you can, yeah, and also you have to think about it like that. It's like he's trying to hit. I mean, Star Trek, like 2009, 2013, they were both kind of rebirths, like legitimately of that entire franchise. So he can kind of do whatever he wanted. With this one, he
Yeah,
had to have his own flair, but he also had to kind of like make it mesh more with the past Star Wars movies that came before that. So,
for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
like
for sure.
yeah, like
Um,
one of the things that I know they had to specifically like work with Panavision to try and uh create lenses that were similar to the ones used on New Hope. I know I read that, but yeah, you can tell that it's different because like one of the things that I noticed in Star Trek 2009 is it has that sort of characteristic J.J. Abrams super saturated, ultra grainy,
mhm.
high contrast look that like Mission Impossible 3 has. But there's not a lot of that in Force Awakens. It
Yeah.
just seems like Force Awakens just seems more like I think of the desert scenes, which just sort of seem like almost milky in the color palette.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's I don't know if I would call it flat, but it's definitely smooth. I don't know if there's any distinction in the two terms, but yeah, like I see what you're saying though. We're like,
It's less harsh.
yeah, exactly. It's noticeably not, again. I'm saying dull. I don't mean it's actually dull, but like it's Star Trek was so sharp where you could literally see like every single particle of every single beam of light. And for this one, like yeah, there is a little bit of that graininess, but it's definitely dialed back to actually fit into the Star Wars kind of the Star Wars kind of ethos. But all right, so let's just talk about the movie generally. So
Yeah, I mean, I think I. Oh, sorry.
no, it's fine. Go ahead. No, please.
I was gonna say you brought up the fact that it capitalized on nostalgia earlier. I think that's actually an interesting point because I think that might actually be what you want to do when you're reintroducing a franchise after all this time. You want to remind people why they're going. Because I wouldn't start off the new trilogy with something like The Last Jedi, something that subverts everybody's expectations. Because what you would want to do, ideally, is convince them to stay for this new trilogy. And I think that's why it was a smart decision to sort of play it safe in the way that they did. And I'm hoping that he doesn't go that route with Rise of Skywalker now that well, it's the finale, so he doesn't really have to worry about that.
Yeah, so I definitely see what you're saying for sure because they have to, J.J. Abrams had a big task on his hands where he had to, invigorate a younger generation of people to love Star Wars. He had to appease the casual fans and also the diehard fans from way back in the day, and also people that have been disenfranchised by the prequels. I totally respect the fact that he had a lot on his plate. But the problem that I have with the whole nostalgia aspect of that movie is not just maybe it's not even nostalgia. It just feels like it's repetitious because you can have nostalgia without doing almost identical plot points. Like for example, it's the Death Star. It's just bigger. Like I was just like, come on, man. Like
That's the most egregious. Yeah. I think honestly, if Starkiller wasn't in that movie, I might Starkiller is the most egregious one to me. Like I said, I think that's the only one where I sort of facepalm when thinking about it.
yeah,
But as far as like retreading the hero on a
it's different
desert
enough for sure. It's
gets
different
called
enough.
to adventure. Yeah, as far as like the retreading the hero who lives in a desert area gets called to adventure and becomes a Jedi plot point. I mean, it's the same across all three trilogies.
Yeah,
You have
exactly. Yeah.
Anakin, Luke. I think that repetition is sort of intentional.
Oh, for
As
sure.
George Lucas would say, it rhymes. But
Oh, dude, fun fact. I don't know if you were in the DMs and you saw this. My girlfriend met George Lucas.
really,
Yep. So my girlfriend is a viral internet star and also met George Lucas. So she's a, you know,
wait, George Lucas, you're a viral internet star, or
wait, you didn't know about this?
George Lucas is a viral
No,
internet
no, no,
star?
wait. You didn't know about my girlfriend? Are you serious? I didn't tell you this in the last podcast. Oh shit. Have you ever seen the video on YouTube called Max falling out of kayak?
Have I ever seen the YouTube video called what?
Max falling out of kayak.
Max falling out of kayak. Wow, this is an actual thing.
Yep.
Wait, I'm looking at it right now. Sar off. It's uploaded by Sar off 1234.
Okay, but have you seen it before?
No.
Like the whole thing, like Sarah, help me, and it's the guy like falling out of his kayak, was on top
Oh
of
yeah,
canoe and
yeah, yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm dating Sarah.
Really? I've seen that in so okay, I know the clip now. I've seen that in so many meme compilations. No wonder you're the meme king. That makes so much sense now. You
Dude,
wow, dude, it's your own cinematic meme universe.
I should, man. I should get Feige to produce my movies for me. But dude, yeah, you know, a little aside here, but on our first date, so we were sharing fun facts, me and my girlfriend, and she's like, "What's your fun fact?" I'm like, "I play guitar and I like movies and I like chemistry and what's your fun fact?" And she's like, "You ever seen Max falling out of kayak?" I'm like, "Oh my god, Sarah, help me! That's hilarious!" And she was like, "I'm Sarah," and I'm like,
Man,
I was like, bullshit. And she pulls out her phone, shows me, and I'm like, wow.
that trumps chemistry, movies, guitar.
Oh,
That just trumps all.
that trumps just about anything you can say on a first date, like for sure.
Yeah. Anything that falls under those three categories, even if it's I cured cancer, I directed The Force Awakens, and I am insert famous guitar player. Yeah, if you're known for being in a meme, I'd be much more excited to meet you,
Oh,
honestly.
absolutely, especially in like the internet memeing culture we're in right now, for sure. Okay, this has been a huge tangent. Anyway, long story short, my girlfriend's probably watching. Love you, babe. I plug your video. Anyway,
Hi, Sarah. Don't necessarily help us.
anyway, okay, so what the fuck are we talking about before this fucking
We were
start?
talking about how much you love The Last Jedi.
No, we're not there yet. No, we're not there yet.
Okay.
Okay, we got.
Oh, we're going chronologically through them.
Yes. Okay. So, The Force Awakens, like, I'll just conclude with this. Like, we talked about, like, how I thought it treaded kind of similar ground, but, like, I definitely do agree where it was different enough where you could latch on the premise of the new characters and buy into them. And also, it had a decent amount of callbacks to, you know, past films, of course, and, like, you know, teasing things to come. But the teasing things to come is what really sells it down the river for me. Because then after The Force Awakens, we have the Oscar-winning movie, The Last Jedi.
Did it actually win any Oscars?
No, of course not.
Oh,
I was making a
I
joke.
was thinking at least a technical category. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's the thing about the trilogy. Like, as standalone movies, I do like both Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I think I like Force Awakens a bit more,
Yeah,
but as a trilogy, they don't coalesce just
not at
because
all.
of just because of how harshly Abrams and Johnson's just directorial styles clash. Because, like
Exactly.
you said, J.J. Abrams is about bringing up secrets and teasing future installments, and Ryan's is just let me make the most controversial thing I could possibly think of.
Yeah, and let me before I say anything else. I love Ryan Johnson. I think
Me too.
he's made some of my favorite movies. Like he made Looper, he made Brick, and he made basically the two best episodes of Breaking Bad in my opinion.
Oh, I just finished his second episode of Breaking Bad. I've been watching that for like the past month.
oh really?
Mhm.
Wait,
Yeah, it's really good. I really loved Fly.
dude, everyone says that it's a fucking filler episode. I totally disagree. We're like, it's such a good psychological peek into his head. You know, whatever. Spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Dude, when he comes this close to telling fucking Jesse that he watched Jane die, like,
That was so yeah, and one of the things that I noticed is that Ryan Johnson is, I think, probably the only director on Breaking Bad. So I guess we're going down this tangent. One of the only directors on Breaking Bad that I've seen while binging it for like this past month. That you know before the credits even come on that he's the one directing the episode.
oh yeah,
Like he has those rapid like slides to slow down. He has those like he always has the weird choppy editing.
yeah,
And I love that close up at the end where the fly takes up the entire screen. It's like
I love that.
it's just disgusting. But I say disgusting because I'm dealing with flies right now. I'm in South Carolina. But yeah, that was the fact that he managed to do all of that in a like you said, a filler episode. It's pretty amazing since like the only set in that episode is the lab, but he
Yeah,
still manages to he like you said, he creates so much suspense because you actually do think for a moment that he's gonna freaking spill.
yeah. God, and as I'm saying, like Rian Johnson is an absurdly talented filmmaker. Like he really is. Like he made time travel with a really, really like silly premise completely palatable. Like I love Looper.
I have a lot of problems with the physics or the logic of that movie's time travel, but I still love it.
Well, exactly, dude. Like I'm a professional scientist. Like it's like there are clear flaws in the movie for sure, but I just love the ambitious premise and the fact that it actually had a couple of emotional climaxes in that movie that actually made sense. Like not the time travel, but the actual emotional arcs. Yeah, God. But okay. Long story short, I love Rian Johnson. God damn it, do I hate The Last Jedi so goddamn much.
Well, I think what a lot of people I think is the Star Wars fandom is way more mainstream than like the Looper fandom.
Yeah.
Um, People have to realize that his self-professed goal of directing is to make the most controversial movie possible, like I said, and he definitely did that. Like he legitimately split the fandom down the middle. So for better or worse, he accomplished what he wanted to do. The question is then just whether you liked it. But I think that's an interesting philosophy of filmmaking, that the more you get people talking, the more you succeeded.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe I would alter that like slightly. Maybe it's not just controversy, but like he goes in and basically he takes your expectations and completely turns them on their head, which like I think is one of the biggest problems with the movie. Like in terms of like the narrative, if this is a standalone movie, I would probably really, really like it. But the fact that like it completely gives a middle finger to the movie that came before it. I don't even like Star Wars that much, but like the fact that like the plot of this movie does not coincide really at all with what happens in The Force Awakens, it's just kind of jarring. And maybe I was being kind of hyperbolic. I don't think it's the worst movie ever at all. There's some things in this movie that I really, really like. The throne room lightsaber sequence is one of the best scenes in Star Wars, hands down.
Yeah, just visually, I think in general it's
beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I have a different problem with that scene, which we'll get to in a little bit. But
you don't like the color red?
Well, okay, sure. but the next one, dude. Next thing I loved the light speed sequence. I have a different problem with that, but the sheer like beauty of that one moment, it looked like a graphic novel almost. Like it was like it completely like desaturates and it's almost like black and white. Like the sheer sublime beauty that one moment is actually kind of jaw dropping, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you know what I don't. Sorry, I don't.
Go ahead.
But
No,
just before we move on to another point, one of the things that I don't get is obviously if you implement something that's never been done before in a franchise like Star Wars, whether it's a new force power or whatever, people will inevitably say, well, now people are just going to abuse the crap out of this. Like now everybody's just going to be ramming Star Destroyers through things. It's like, or why didn't anybody do this before? It's like that's what he's addressing by having the Star Destroyer, or sorry, by having the sorry, I'm drawing a blank. What's the name of the ship?
I don't fuck.
By having the ship light speed like slice through another ship, he is addressing the criticism that nobody's ever done that obvious solution before in a Star Wars movie.
Exactly.
So you can't respond to that by saying, why didn't anybody do this before?
Yeah, it's and that speaks to a different point where it's like the fanboy culture is so desperate for, if it deviates at all from any kind of rule that's set up in an earlier film, they freak the fuck out. And it's like some of the force powers in this movie, like they freak out about, like Luke's meditation when he basically sends his consciousness like to the other planet and stuff. Sure, it's not in the other movies and stuff, but like this is one thing where I empathize with them. You can't really, I don't know. You can't fault the guy for trying to expand on a fantasy mythology that doesn't make much sense to begin with. Like I wonder how enraged those people are about the fact that Luke used force pull in Empire Strikes Back when that wasn't an established force power. Yeah,
in New Hope.
It's
freaking disrespectful piece of crap, George Lucas.
Honestly, and like he like sticks his hand out and the lightsaber goes right into his hand. They never did that. Like he held the lightsaber and he did things. Like no, it breaks the fuck you.
Like there are new force powers added to the lore every second. You just have to look outside the movies at like the billion novels.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, exactly. And like again, this is the thing. Like it, and actually on my Thanos video, people were saying this shit. So like people try to cite real world physics in a space opera. Like
This is a series where you hear sound in space in episode 3.
you see explosions. There's no air in space. Fire can't happen. Like legitimately, like they're gonna fucking pickle this guy for
Pickle.
like honestly, I was trying to say nitpick, and then like I don't know.
So it wasn't even an intentional insult.
To be honest, I'm dude, I'm 26, man. I'm growing old in my old age. It's fine.
Well, they are definitely pickling Ryan Johnson.
Eat my fucking ass, Jay. Anyway, like the thing is, like, you can't operate with real world premises in such a fantastical, ludicrous world. Like, we said the thing with Star Wars, like, sound and space and explosions and people, and like the fact that they're using logic to justify a religion where basically everyone can tap into a psychokinetic force all around them, like the fact that you're trying to actually make that logically consistent, like it is ludicrous. Like it's so stupid. And with my Thanos video in Infinity War, like, so one of my points is basically that Thanos is flawed, which he's too callous to be benevolent in the sense that he wants to double all the resources. He wants to eliminate everything because he's flawed. Everyone's like, well, actually, the first law of thermodynamics, you can't create energy. I'm like, bro,
it's the Infinity Gauntlet.
Like it's 6 magical glowy rocks that all control reality.
Yes.
Like,
what do you think the Reality Stone does? Abides by physics? No, it's the Reality Stone.
It's infuriating. Like, and like, granted, like, okay, I'm a scientist, so like I'll be honest, there are some things that like piss me off. Like, for example, and God, I'm so hypocritical here. With The Last Jedi, the first scene with the dreadnoughts. So like, how like Rose's sister is in space and basically drops the bombs on the
how they just fall straight down.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah,
I noticed that too.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, I get it. Like,
maybe there's like an ejection force that just pushes them down.
Maybe Rey is like 40,000 light years away, and it's just like this.
I'm kidding.
Oh shit! Fuck. What were we? Okay, so The Last Jedi.
But yeah, you were talking about physics and Infinity Gauntlet.
All right, yeah. So like that kind of bubbled up from the Lightspeed thing. So those 2 plot points, the thermal lightsaber sequence and the Lightspeed thing, I thought those are great. And, unlike many people, I actually did appreciate some parts of Luke's character. I know that Mark Hamill hates that fucking role. Like, he talks shit about it any chance he gets. And
yeah, I want to talk about that once you're done.
Yeah, for sure. But like I understand that basically the departure from his character in the other movies is jarring because he's like this optimistic, snowy-eyed, like whatever guy. But you have to understand, number one, like, just think about it in terms of character. If you see everyone you know and love either die or turn on you or abandon you, you're probably going to be a little bit jaded. So, like, maybe not to the extent where, like, you want to die and, like, you came here to die and stuff. But the other thing is, it goes to this next point, it was not Ryan Johnson's, it was not his as idea to have Luke be estranged on a random planet millions of light years away with no intention of being found. That was J.J. Abrams. Like, Ryan Johnson basically, and this actually Bailey brought this up from Loverboy Media. He was on my podcast a couple months ago. He said, like, literally, J.J. Abrams set that up where, the only person that could have possibly found him was powered down to the last 5 seconds of the movie. That wasn't Ryan Johnson. That was J.J. Abrams. So It's like, you can't be pissed at Ryan Johnson for doing the logical thing where if he's that far away, probably doesn't want to be found. So you have to make sense.
So yeah, the logic of that is, the Ryan Johnson isn't deciding where Luke is. He's deciding how he reacts given that he's here.
Exactly.
But yeah, and I don't really pay much attention to Mark Hamill's thoughts on Luke, given that actors don't have narrative control, and it's important to realize that just because an actor says something about a character or how a character would act doesn't really mean anything. It holds about the same weight as a fan theory. They definitely have insight into maybe how the character thinks because they play that character and they've spent time with them and they craft those performances. But Mark Hamill at the end of the day doesn't decide what Luke does. It's the filmmakers who do. And so the filmmakers who write the story dictate what is in character for Luke.
Yeah.
Sorry, mosquito.
I thought you were like dramatically, like, for Luke, no. Force push. Luke. But here's the thing though. And there are some things where, like, I can actually sympathize with Mark Hamill on because, I mean, he played the character. That was his defining role. So, like, I'm sure that he has some kind of familial bond with it for sure.
for sure.
But like,
I'm sure he's allowed to give input, but I'm just saying in general, I don't
oh,
really
for
like
sure.
the people taking actors' words as gospel with regard to character.
No, for sure. I totally agree. But with Mark Hamill's character though, I have other problems with him. Where essentially, okay, so he's this estranged, Jedi. He's given up on everything because of what happened with Ben Solo and the Knights of Ren and stuff. And so when Rey gives him the lightsaber, the fact that he nonchalantly just takes it like this, bad idea. Like, I think he, like, literally, if he's that emotionally shaken by this former memory of himself, he should have turned around and said, like, like a fuck you moment, like threw it over the ocean and just walked away. Like, that would have actually, I wouldn't, I prefer not the lightsaber, but if you're going to do it, at least have it, like, actually make some emotional sense where he's so beaten up by this experience, he's almost defeated by it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, like have him respond
Yeah.
drastically on one of the poles of the spectrum. Like either if he's nonchalant about it, just have him give it back to Ray, or if he's furious, like you said, chuck it. But yeah, the can only work for a subversion of expectations sort of comedic moment. Because one of the things that I noticed was that I did laugh at that scene in theaters, and I was really surprised by it. And then when I rewatched it on second viewing, it just felt awkward to me.
Yeah, it feels so awkward because like they end the first movie of this rebirth of the franchise with that moment, and that's supposed to be an emotionally gratifying thing. So if he either like you said, that's a great way to put it. If any like either the two poles were like either resentment or nonchalance, where like either he's
Yes.
like fuck you, or he's like this part of me died a long time ago, gives it back to her and walks away. Like either one of those would have worked out, I think, infinitely better. But okay, so those are my three positives of the movie. Now I'm gonna dig into it. So so stop me if I'm gonna rant for too long. I'm just gonna say my piece and then I'll be done with it.
Are you just gonna say Canto Bite?
Anyway,
That's my yeah.
yeah. All right. So my first flaw, and this kind of goes back in The Force Awakens a little bit. In The Force Awakens, the Star Killer base is basically alluded to be the new Death Star, right? And like, if you look at the original movies, the Death Star has precedence over all three of those movies. And like, when they destroy one of those things, you feel the weight and the emotional significance of that thing being destroyed. In the beginning of this movie, in The Last Jedi, the First Order, nothing happened to them. They're as powerful. They have 55 and a half fucking dreadnoughts. Like, and like that's one of two things. Like, either that was not, because like presumably that thing was a planet. It wasn't just a planet killing machine. It was its own planet. They had like trees and shit on there. So either that was not the main base of the First Order that you actually destroyed, or it was just inconsequential. Like, I don't give a fuck about it. It's fine. There's another one like light years away.
I noticed that too. I don't like how inconsequential it was. Given how much of an emphasis they put in the prequel and original trilogies on how much freaking effort it takes to build a Death Star.
Exactly.
And then like they have a planetary version of it. It's like, oh, no big deal.
Yeah. And like, honestly, like if they had even one scene where it's like, fucking like 36 months have passed before that thing was destroyed, like, but we're more powerful than ever. That would have been a cheap way to do it, but at least they would have actually referenced the whole plot point of the first movie. And like, I just think that like it doesn't make a lot of sense for that whole plot point to be just, General Hux screaming into a microphone about, Poe Dameron saying his mom's in the line or some shit.
Yeah, they should have been more noticeably shaken.
Exactly. Next one. Fuck. Okay. I did not like Rose's character at all because basically, like, the only emotional premises they give her are A, she was enslaved on her former planet, which goes in the whole Canto Bite thing. So she was on her former planet, and they literally have two lines of dialogue to motivate the fact that she's like shaken by her experiences, and two, they just reference the fact that her sister died. Like I don't see how that character is so. I don't see how she's a linchpin for the story because basically, like, she has, a couple offhanded lines and then she's a main player in the trilogy. I really don't understand.
Yeah, I think she was given too big a role. I actually did like the scene where it shows the two of their necklaces. I thought that was pretty powerful. But
No, for sure. But
other
like,
than that, yeah.
But I wanted more of that though. I wanted like an actual leading emotional premise instead of like, yes, of course, I agree, emotionally gratifying moment, but I like you need more to have a person just like subsume a new role that's like a main character in this trilogy, in my opinion. But
well, granted, we don't really know how much of a main character is going to be moving forward. But yeah, I think again, it's one of the cases of telling, not showing, where she just like grabs Finn by the shoulders, like, "Let me explain to you why exactly I'm motivated to do this thing."
Yeah.
All right, now let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree, not being exposition heavy, but like you have to do it in a way where it's actually clever and it makes sense for sure. My next thing, Carrie
Also,
Fisher.
sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you can get through yours, and then I'll tell you some of mine.
Okay, I think I have like two or three more after this.
Okay.
So, Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher is dead in real life. The
Yes.
entire theme of this movie is let the past die. Let old things die, start anew, let everything burn and crash and start anew in the rubble, right? She is dead in real life. So what what? Like she is a character that dies and she resurrects herself on the ship because like, she has force powers apparently, which I mean whatever, I'll get past that. It was kind of cringy, but whatever. But like the whole theme of the movie, let the past die. You have a character that was presumably probably supposed to die because basically from that point on, I mean, think about it. The finality of that movie, like Luke is dead. Han's already dead in the first one. Why wouldn't you have Leia just die at the end of the movie or even in that one scene? And I get it. Like after, I mean, she died basically on like the last week of filming or like in the beginning of post-production. I get that for sure. But I would argue like, so they kept it the way it was because they wanted to keep her performance intact for sure. But I would argue killing her off screen or just referencing her death in an offhanded way is even shittier for her legacy because you don't give her the emotional climax she deserves. You don't give her the send off she deserved, the emotional moment that character needed over.
Well, she is alive in Rise of Skywalker.
Well,
They're going to reuse footage of her, and
yeah.
I think that having her just sort of live out the rest of her life peacefully in canon might be pretty cool. Like they just leave her character with a happy ending.
Sure, but it's just like I'm thinking about like maybe it's my own biases, but like if the entire theme of the movie is basically accepting all of your mistakes but letting the past die, like most of this.
I've heard I'm more geared towards the argument that that's not so much the theme of the movie, even though a lot of old stuff is destroyed, as it is Kylo Ren's theme, like the villain's theme, and that sort of the lesson that Rey learns and that Yoda's speech is about is learn from the past, both from people's failures and their successes. I think that's more the theme of the movie as a whole, but I see how you could interpret it either way.
Yeah, but even so, like even if we take that out of the equation, I mean, like I think it's the Empire Strikes Back where like that's the only indication that she's force sensitive and like she's that powerful where she can fly over like a couple hundred yards and then like land in a tiny little hole in the ship and then like save herself. I thought it was just kind of ludicrous. I'm not going to make the whole like logic argument there. I just thought it was kind of shoehorned in to have her just like have force powers out of nowhere. But yeah, I just like I think that would have been emotionally gratifying where, the three main players of the movie are gone and basically like, these new characters have to, and also this, like, and this kind of goes in another complaint. The whole thing with Holdo and Poe, like I can't, like, I hate that so much because like that 90 minutes of that movie could have been cut out by those two characters talking over coffee. Like, and it's like,
have you seen the video that one guy made about how to fix that whole arc, where he basically suggests like the spy, the spy story, which is basically that
code breaker,
that there's a spy on board and they have no idea who it is, and so that's why she's acting so reserved towards Finn. I think that would have been so easy to do.
Yeah,
I think that would have fixed that entire arc.
Because it would explain with Laura Dern's character Poe.
Yeah. So the idea is that there's a spy on board that ship, and the reason why she's acting so reserved with Poe about her plan and everything is because she doesn't know who that spy is. It could be Finn, or sorry, it could be Poe. And so I think that's a perfect rewrite of the scene, and it explains her stubbornness perfectly.
Yeah,
That's not what they did.
Yeah, for sure. But like But okay, but like I agree, better premise for sure. But let's cast that aside because it's like not hinted at in the movie. Like here, I don't know, like not talking to one of your best captains in the fleet. If you're this brilliant strategist, if you're Holdo, she's like this legendary general or whatever. Why wouldn't you talk to the people in command and basically let them just like trickle off and go to the ship when you're losing people left and right? And but the thing is, with Leia's arc, juxtaposed with that, used Leia's death as a rallying cry for, oh shit, we have to, we have to put us out of differences. We have to, make sure that we, get out of this alive, and we have to actually communicate with each other. If they used Leia's death for that kind of end, I honestly would have really liked, that whole scene. Even if the Force thing happened, like if Leia ended up dying, that would have given a much easier premise to penetrate into Holdo and Poe's arcs. I mean, I get what you're saying for sure. Like there are a couple easy rewrites you could have done for that, but like it just, I don't know, it really didn't sit well with me. Like I tried to rationalize it, but I literally couldn't.
What would you think if Laura Dern's character was just replaced by Akbar and he was given a big role? I think that would have been cool. I like Akbar, his fish face. I have seen a lot of complaints about the fact that he wasn't the one that crashed the Star Destroyer. But I mean, he's never been that much of a prominent character, so I'm not too mad by it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What was my other
Yeah, your final.
Yeah. My final one is the character arc of Kylo Ren. So basically, at the like I said, Kylo Ren is he's a strange character because in the first movie he kills his father, and basically it seems like he's irredeemable, and basically in the beginning of this movie, like I get it, he emotionally pauses, but basically it's not like you shot your father like from a distance. He literally stabbed his father 2 inches away from his face, and like it just seems at that point he's irredeemable. With this movie, then they hint at the fact that he is redeemable, and then Snoke basically like tells him he's a pussy for wearing Darth Vader's helmet, and then he
just a cosplayer.
Like he momentarily almost defies Snoke's orders, and like has resentment towards him, but is still hunting Rey. And then Rey and Kylo have like the whole Force connection thing, and like then here's the other side. They hinted at him being redeemable. Then Kylo captures Rey and then brings him to Snoke, and then Kylo uses a really, really predictable trick to kill basically the most powerful Sith who's ever lived, who can like use the Force over millions of miles, like, and can't sense the lightsaber next to him is moving. Like,
I actually really like that, the fact that he was turning both simultaneously, and that's
it was clever. But I mean, the dialogue, strike your true enemy down.
Yeah, it was kind of cheesy. But as far as Kylo Ren's character, like, I do kind of like the idea that, I mean, this is sort of headcanoning a bit, but I do kind of like the idea that the reason why Han died is because he knew what he was doing. And that when he responded to Kylo saying, "Will you help me?" He knew what he was asking, and that the reason why he sort of volunteered to let Kylo kill him is because he knew that that would expose that Kylo really isn't all that committed to the dark side, and that he still does feel remorse. I think that's again another big theme for his character in this movie is that
wait, can you say it again? Wait, I don't understand. Wait. So you're saying that Han like willingly let Kylo kill him?
No, like when he asks, "Will you help me?" I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. And he's like, "Yeah." Well, I think maybe you could infer that he knew what he was talking about, and maybe that again that's more of a headcanon, but I do like the theme of Kylo Ren's character in this movie, that he isn't convincing anybody, much less himself, that he's fully committed to the dark side. No matter what he does, he still feels resentment, and so I do like that struggle.
Yeah, sure, but like my problem is with that is like I don't know what it like if you redeem him, what does that mean though? Because like he's already killed his father, he has a chance to kill his mom and he doesn't, and then he offers basically to leave the First Order and go with Rey and let the past die and everything like that. And at the end of the movie, he gives the middle finger and takes over the First Order. Like,
yeah, I didn't.
I truly don't know what it means to be Kylo Ren. If he dies, what does that mean? If he lives, what does that mean? If he comes back to the Force and basically becomes a Jedi, like, what does that mean?
It is a bit muddled in that they're being really vague about whether or not he does feel remorse.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sometimes, like, you have Snoke's comments about how it split him in two, and then you have sort of him, like, unapologetically, like you said, taking up the First Order and just demolishing everyone. So yeah, it isn't very clear, but I'm still interested to see where his character goes, because I think his has been one of the more compelling arcs of the new trilogy, just compared
Oh,
to
for sure.
the others.
Yeah, he's one of the only interesting ones left. But yeah, like I don't know, like I maybe it's all gonna pay off in the third movie, which I hope it will, because like even though I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, I like seeing completed character arcs. Like that's like a big thing in movies for me, of course. Like I wanted some kind of semblance of like what the actual stakes of this movie were. Like, what like in The Empire Strikes Back, for example, I'm not trying to compare the emotional arcs to the two movies, but basically at the end of The Empire Strikes Back, you learn that basically Luke, has his father still alive, and it's Darth Vader, the person he's been trying to kill the entire time. And that sets up such a beautiful dichotomy for the final movie, where like that's the leading premise. And with this one, like I don't know what Kylo Ren's gonna do with the power that he has. Like, like why wouldn't you have General Hux like take over after General Snoke gets killed, and basically like Kylo Ren's like force chokes and that's it, he gives up. Like
Yeah.
just to have Kylo kind of subsume that role, like it just felt kind of weird.
Yeah. I also just don't. I don't really find it all that convincing that Rey's motivated to turn him. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get. I don't get why she's so invested in bringing him to the light after she just saw him murder a friend of hers. Like,
Yeah.
other than just like, I saw the script. He's going to turn to the light. Like, it does. I don't get her motivation there,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
especially like it doesn't. Especially with it like retreading episode 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Just less well done, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you about the character, now that we're on the character of Rey, what do you think about her being a Mary Sue?
Yeah.
Do you buy into that criticism?
I mean, I don't know. It's weird because, okay, I think I would be more okay with her being she's not really a Mary Sue, but like she does have a pretty golden yellow brick road like in front of her as a character. If they had her actually have a payoff of their actual lineage instead of her parents being nobody, I probably would have been completely okay with anything they did, because, I mean, realistically, everybody in these Star Wars movies is somewhat related to each other. Like, or at least like, these main characters, like, unless the whole premise is anybody can use the Force and anybody can be special, for sure. But then, like, why would you have such a tease about her actual, her lineage if it means nothing? Like,
Yeah. Plus, throughout the entire saga of Star Wars, lineage and prophecy
Yeah.
and being destined for greatness have always been huge themes.
Exactly.
It's never been about anybody can be Captain America, for example. Like that's kind of thematically out of left field for Star Wars, so I don't really understand that criticism.
Yeah, it's like Into the Spider-Verse. Like, anybody can be Spider-Man, which, by the way, I
Yeah.
love Into the Spider-Verse. But yeah, it's just like...
But it's not. Yeah, it's not anyone can be the chosen one in
Exactly.
Star Wars.
But yeah, so... And let me collect my thoughts before, like, we conclude this with The Last Jedi. Like, it's not like I hate the movie. Like, I was being hyperbolic to be funny. There are some things that I really, really enjoy, like we said. But, like, as more time has kind of passed, I've just realized that, like, I didn't really feel that fulfilled by watching the movie. I think I've watched it maybe 5 or 6 times, I want to say. Yeah, it really didn't sell me on the emotional premises of the movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's very well crafted. Rian Johnson, even though there are some things that I don't agree with in the script, it's a very well crafted, well directed movie. I just there's narratively, I just had a lot of problems with it. Is really the kind of long and short of it.
I will say it's far from the worst Star Wars movie, and it's interesting enough to generate this much conversation.
Exactly.
And Rian Johnson's kind of the type of filmmaker where he makes me want to go outside and record something, just because of how unique he is.
Yeah, for sure.
And then edit together really weirdly. But yeah, how long have we been talking about Star Wars? This has turned into a Star Wars episode pretty quickly.
Yeah, dude, like, it was like 55 minutes or some shit.
Wow.
All right, but anyway, quickly on the Rise of Skywalker. Not a big fan of the name. The trailer slapped. That trailer looks fucking awesome. Like, yeah. But I will say, we don't have to talk about the entire thing, because we have to get on the Endgame. So we're not talking for like 65 hours. But the laugh at the end, Palpatine.
Yeah.
What the hell do you think is going to happen with that? Do you think it's just a callback to the last movie, or do you think it's actually going to be featured in the movie?
So everybody's pretty much taking it for granted that he's coming back, which is interesting, because that's not even the impression that I got when I first watched the trailer. I watched it live on the stream. I was just thinking, okay, maybe they're playing it because they just looked at the Death Star.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently he is coming back, since Ian McDermott was on stage smiling.
Oh God. Like, hmm. Yeah, like I mean, it's interesting because like I mean, I'm kind of apprehensive because like bringing characters back just to bring them back doesn't serve that much of a purpose. But like if they have an actual reason for doing that, that'd be actually pretty cool.
Well, George Lucas apparently in his outline of the original 9 films had it concluding with a big fight against Palpatine, and apparently they did bring George in to consult with this movie. Apparently he did
Really?
have some input. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I mean, I can't really cite my sources on that one, but if that's true, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think it's pretty great that if he could come back to close out what he started.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, actually, I didn't know about that. The whole like that 9 movie arc for Palpatine.
Mhm.
And like that's a criticism that I hear all the time about the prequels, where like Palpatine should really be more of a focus in those movies. Like or Darth Vader, obviously, like one of the most iconic moments of all time. But like in terms of like the whole political ethos they're trying to put in that movie, Palpatine really should be on more display, in my opinion, because like he's the one who's struggling and trying to move the chessboard of the the entire galaxy into his favor. And I just feel like they really should have like not the whole what's the Darth whatever story he tells Anakin and
Plagueis.
not
You ever
from
hear
a
the
Jedi.
tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Not from a Jedi.
The,
But yeah, but like I really think that Palpatine should have been on display in the prequels, and if they use him effectively here, I'll be pretty happy with it. I mean, again, not a huge fan of Star Wars, but if they do that cleverly, I'll be 2 thumbs up for sure.
Yeah, do you think yeah, we can move on, but really quick. Do you think that with JJ's style of filmmaking that we'll get any additional info on Snoke even though he's gone, especially since he seemed to be setting that up so heavily?
Uh, that's a good question. I don't know. I really don't know. I think it'd be foolish for them to pull a Star Killer 2.0 and just not reference it at all. Like I think they have to actually maybe they show the fact that the first terror is in shambles briefly in the beginning of the movie because like they don't have a supreme leader, they don't have the supreme godlike character leading them, and maybe like an emotional arc as Kylo Ren basically subsuming that the massive responsibility that role entails. But like I don't know if they will actually. Yeah, I don't know if they will reference it, but I think they absolutely should because I mean they set that thing up like in the first movie and it just
I
didn't
was gonna
pay
say,
off.
I think the movie should open with, "Do you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Snoke the Wise?"
Oh, that's what you're doing. Oh, you were trying to meme. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was getting closer and closer.
I delayed your meme. Sorry about that. Uh, but yeah,
Right.
they should reference him. Okay,
Hey, you know who else is wise? The Russo brothers and their directing.
okay. Let's Endgame. All right, so I've seen Endgame 3 times. How many times have you seen it?
Twice. I should be supporting it more because Avatar's looking really smug up there.
Yeah, for sure. But I will say, the fact that James Cameron like literally like he acknowledged him and said like you sunk my battleship.
I really like that. I really like that he gave one of those director to director notes that have sort
Yeah,
of become popular.
exactly. All right, so let's talk about Endgame. I really enjoyed it. Full disclosure, I like Infinity more than Endgame, not because like it's any better or worse of a movie, because the plot and the execution of Infinity War is so airtight and is so like legitimately. Let's talk about this.
Pacing's
I
amazing.
like I have no idea how long it must have taken them to write those scripts because legitimately not only do they have their own comprehensive and sweeping stories, but they also pay off almost every single lingering emotional arc in the entire MCU from back to like 2008 to now. Like they deliver on with almost every single character. Like even fucking Nebula. Nebula's like her arc is actually well laid out, and like I didn't like her in the previous movies because like she was kind of like a screaming General Hux like character which just screams at the camera.
I empathize more with her in the second Guardians. I think that movie did her
Oh,
justice.
for sure. But like the fact that they actually wrapped up her emotional arc and like put a bow on it, like
In Endgame or in Infinity War?
Endgame, and the fact that like she kills her past self and like she moves on, is able to accept her own experiences. Like I,
Yeah.
like Yeah. All
She
right. All
better
right.
thank she
Yeah.
better thank God it's branching timelines and not freaking linear
Yeah.
time travel theory. Otherwise, she would have just been
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. Like Looper, they would have lost thumbs and shit, and
Just
would have like.
yeah.
Okay. So before we get into all the amazing things, yeah, I can't even speak. All the amazing things about the movie, I'm gonna address two criticisms. Okay, well, okay, two and a half. So the first one, I don't like the fact that we don't get to see Banner reconcile with the Hulk on screen. That's one thing I really don't like.
Yeah, Alex mentioned that earlier too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But the thing is, like, and also he was like, um, uh, what was it? He's like, 19 months in a gamma lab, and I finally did this to myself. I did it, but I don't think that's really that emotionally effective, because if he just strong armed the Hulk into like subsuming the physical role, like what kind of reconciliation do you actually have with the Hulk? And so like, and again, I brought this up, I think, the last podcast. Terrible movie, X-Men Apocalypse. You seen that movie, right?
No, it was too terrible.
Oh, it's really bad. Anyway, so like the final battle is basically they fight within someone's mind, because like Apocalypse is like a telepath, and basically him and Professor X go into like someone's mind, and like it's like memories of Professor X, and they're fighting in them and stuff. And terrible movie, really cool idea. If you see, if we saw Bruce Banner talk to the Hulk or something like that, where like he actually, instead of the gamma ray thing, it's like, because like I remember in the first Avengers, they hint the fact that like, when he wants to, Banner can control the Hulk, and Banner can have him come out when he wants him to. And so they had like a conversation in their mind where it's like, look, Hulk, you hate being in the center of attention. I hate being like, behind the curtain. Let's, combine and have the best of both worlds. And you can actually have, some great comedy with that, because the Hulk's basically a baby. And also you can have a great emotional climax, because like this is something that's been teased, even in the shitty Edward Norton movie, where he's trying to reconcile with himself. And if they showed that, like, yeah, that's really the only like really like bastardized thing I think I found in that movie. Everything else I can kind of get past, but that was one thing I really was not happy with. But
I will, yeah, I will say, Incredible Hulk. Whatever you want to say about the movie, I think the soundtrack is great.
Oh,
That Hulk theme.
oh, for sure, yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you about the fact that they again told they didn't show. But I guess my response to that would be, I would never place anything in the movie with that. Like I can't think of anything in the movie that was less important than showing how Hulk synthesized himself with
Sure.
with Hulk.
Yeah, sure. And also you got to keep in mind, like, the movie is 3 hours and 4 minutes, and it's like jam packed. So it's like you
Yeah.
have to like cut down on something. But I agree with you, where like the movie basically doesn't really have any room to allow for something like that. I just would have liked it a little more if it was actually a plot point. But like, honestly, that's totally fine.
Also,
So
could you imagine if that experiment backfired and it was Bruce Banner's body with Hulk's mind? Just a really dumb, ineffectual
puny
guy.
God.
He's just Mark Ruffalo, but dumb.
Yeah, and he's like punching Thor like puny God. It's like, Banner, what are you doing, buddy?
I do love the comedy with Hulk in this movie, though. How he's like ashamed to act like mindless Hulk. He's like,
Yeah, I
it's
know.
a bit gratuitous.
And the fucking time travel scene when he sends Ant-Man back to like 3 different generations, and it stops like time travel. I died.
I see this as an absolute win.
Oh my God, that was funny as fuck. All right, so my next flaw in the movie is Thanos. So, and of course you and I have a special place for Thanos in our hearts, because we both made videos about Thanos. So the thing that I really liked about Thanos in Infinity War was because, number one, you see that he really doesn't attribute any malice within his plan. He's doing it because he truly believes in his fiber that what he will do will save the universe. And so obviously it's a different situation, because with Nebula serving as the kind of the expositional / information giver in his arc of the movie, basically the most powerful weapon that he has in the movie is, future events and information. So he knows everything that happens. So
I love that, though. By the way, it's such a smart mechanism
It's
to
beautiful.
bring him back. Like, it's not him, but it's him from the past who knows what's going to happen to him. So it's effectively the same character. I do love that.
Exactly. And then it plays in the far, he's inevitable. Like, it's like no matter what
Yeah.
you do, you're always.
I love how he smugly acts, because he knows what his future self has done to the Avengers. So I love how he smugly
Yeah.
sort of taunts them about it. Like,
Yeah.
where'd that bring you? Back to me, even though he didn't experience that.
No, exactly. And like that's one thing I'll give them for sure, because like that Thanos, he knows, like, I mean, obviously, like, his ego takes a shot because the plan that he's devoted his entire life to do, he finds that it doesn't work. And so, like, but also he finds out that he actually committed his plan and he actually did what he set out to do. So there's an element of, I guess, not shame, but you know what I mean? Like some kind of negative connotation, but also hubris. He's like, he literally believes himself to be a god because he's the one who killed half the universe. But so, and then, like, and I think it's very clever, the fact that Thanos, he didn't anticipate the fact that people would have, you know, trouble with remembering, because basically, when no matter how fast resources are being, like, you know, drained up, and no matter how fast populations going out of control, if you have people there to, you know, romantically or fondly remember the people that were there before, you are never, ever, ever, ever going to actually move on. And it's like Captain America says in the beginning of the movie, we have to create our own purpose, because honestly, Thanos should have killed all of us if we can't move on. And of course, in the next scene, you'd realize they can't. Like,
I love that line, by the way. How I love how eerie it is that he like refers to Thanos as this ubiquitous presence that everyone's aware of. Like
exactly.
he says it like he's talking about like God. Like Thanos should have killed all of us.
Exactly. But that's my thing though. So, like, and I think that I'm gonna do a Thanos revisited, like, juxtaposed with a Infinity War, because I sucked his dick for like 25 minutes of that video
So
that I made.
So if I'm reading this correctly, so your criticism is that he's not as empathic. He's
Well,
sort of more malicious.
Well, it's not even that. Like, because I get why he's malicious, and I get why he actually says, I'm going to kill you on, I'm going to enjoy this. Because basically he realized that I drastically underestimated my opponents, like, the first time I did this. And so that kind of takes away the emotional climax that you get when you have, like, the hero's quest. But, like, it like, and I'm not saying it doesn't make any sense. It makes perfect logical sense. It just didn't emotionally impact me as much as Infinity War Thanos did. But, like, and that I'll probably do that for my premise of my video or something, where it's like logically it is iron fucking clad, and he's, like, legitimately, like, there's not a misstep with this character because it all makes sense in the arc. It just was not as emotionally impactful for me, which is, like,
I think that's more because it's not his movie.
Exactly.
Which Infinity War was his movie.
Exactly. The other point too, where it's like, you know, you had a 2-hour and 45-minute movie, and I think he was in the movie for, you know, I think it was like 46 minutes. Someone, like, tabulated the shit. And with this one, obviously, you have to pay off every other person in the Avengers arc in this movie, and you have 3 hours to do it. Like, I get it. But, like, there is one thing I think that I could actually motivate this shift from the past, from the future Thanos to the past Thanos. I think that, you know, if they had one more scene where, like, you know, Thanos is scrubbing through all of Nebula's memories and is like, you know, it's almost like he wrestles with, like, the closest thing you can get to humility from someone like Thanos, where it's like my plan didn't work. Like, you know, if they showed kind of more of his inner monologue when, like, he realized, you know, oh shit, I killed half the universe, it didn't work. Like, the plan that I devoted my entire life to didn't work. What's the next logical step? Like, if they showed the progression of that a little bit more, like, I think that would have been 10 times better. But again, not as emotionally impactful, but, like, I mean, it's really, really logically written, and it really works out well in my opinion. But yeah, it's obviously about Thanos for sure.
What I didn't really like is that past Thanos didn't really have any reaction to future Thanos apologizing effectively to Nebula for how he treated her.
That's another thing too, yeah.
But then that's these are all really, really minor nitpicks and something that I absolutely loved.
Yeah, for sure.
But so do you want to move on to the positive stuff now?
Well, half of the negative one.
Okay.
Fat Thor.
Oh,
okay.
I commend them for sticking with it through the entire thing.
Me too, because I thought it was going to be like a cheap thing where it's like he has the axe and he's back to his Jack self when he gets, like, Stormbreaker back. The thing, like, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, it's funny, but, like, it's gonna get kind of old. Like, why are they doing this? This is, like, shoehorned in. The second time I saw it, like, I realized that, like, this actually makes perfect sense in his character arc, because he's reeling from the fact that I was the only one who could have stopped Thanos. I'm legitimately a god, and I was this close to stopping this terrible thing, and I couldn't do it. So, like, when you're an Asgardian, you're an Eternal, you have perfect memory, you have to drink. Like, you can't live with yourself when you have that much guilt. And the fact that he actually, like, lets himself go like that makes sense in his character arc. So I was saying a half thing because the first time I saw it, you know, I was like, okay, whatever. Second time I saw it, I thought it was actually really, really smart for them to do that.
Yeah, so I really like it because one of the things that I had sort of innumerable conversations about with my friends is what Thor's breaking point would be, because up to Infinity War he had endured so much that it was
Yeah.
insane that he was still sane.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I remember asking all of my friends what they thought it would take to break him, since he literally lost again. It's literally his line. What more could I lose?
Yeah.
And then we finally see it in Endgame. So that's what happens when he breaks
He
and he
loses a six
recovers.
pack.
Yeah, and he replaces one six pack with another.
With a keg, actually.
Yeah, I love how you can still tell though that he's still buff underneath. Like he
Exactly.
still has like the silhouette of like
Yeah. Exactly. Like, but it's just like it's legitimately just a classic beer belly. It's like it is literally all in front of him, like he's pregnant or some shit.
yeah yeah I love it.
All right, but positives. Everything else in the movie is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like first of all, like I love the haunting opening scene with Hawkeye's family being dusted. Like quiet and just desolate, and like and you got to keep in mind he's the only Avenger that doesn't know what the fuck's going on, and so like.
Yeah.
You fill in so many blanks like when that fucking credits start rolling.
From the first frame, from the moment that his daughter pulled that bow back, and you couldn't even see who it was, but the moment I saw
I'm
a
like, oh
bow being
shit.
pulled back on a farm, my heart dropped because I already knew it was going to happen, and it
Yeah.
was done so well. Like in the way how it just cuts to black with a thunder sound, and then the
Yeah.
juxtaposed with the song that plays when Iron Man and Nebula are, which I love too. I love the
Yeah,
fact
yeah,
that
me too.
they gave them time together, downtime.
I love Nebula's handshake. She was like, didn't know how to fuck.
Like she treated it so seriously.
Oh shit. All right. Oh, fuck. What else is there? I loved the argument when first of all the emaciated look they gave Iron Man at the beginning of the movie when they were arguing. Crazy. That looked so good. Like he looked like
Yeah, I know.
sickly.
He looked
Unreal.
like yeah, it's funny because I don't think that CG was in the first trailer. I might be mistaken, but he didn't look as anemic as he did in
No,
the movie.
not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, and so that was really interesting. And I love how he sort of freaks out at Cap for them not being together, even though it's primarily Tony's fault that they're not together. But I just love that you still feel the consequences of their relationship from Civil War this long after.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something that I think Bailey said this in his original review on Breaking Banter. Like, it's a movie that legitimately adds and expands upon every single fucking Marvel movie that's come before it. Like, in that one scene, they basically wrapped up the emotional arc of Civil War with a bow and gave it to you. Like,
And Age of Ultron when he
Age of Ultron,
recites his together line, which I
Yeah.
love. Yeah, I love how this movie makes every other movie relevant, and it's not even really a movie. It's the final chapter of a super long book, and
Yeah.
it's more of an event than anything, which is
Yeah.
why I give it a pass for being self-congratulatory and all that stuff. Like I don't care.
It's
This
that
is not
good, though. It's that
this
good.
is not this is not a movie that I want to analyze. Like this is not a movie that I want to dispassionately critique. There's nothing wrong with fanboying.
Yeah.
To a culmination of 11 years of storytelling, but yeah, when you've grown up with a franchise for this long, I don't think there's anything to apologize for if you
I agree.
have nothing bad to say about the fan service and which just permeated that entire final battle, which we can talk about.
Yeah, for sure. But there are two characters I want to talk about. Number one, I fucking jerked my dick when Captain America was in the elevator and basically like it was the callback to the Winter Soldier, and that accomplished so many things by him saying Hail Hydra. Number one, there's a comic that's out right now where basically like Captain America's a double agent and all the fucking fans are furious because it's like this is like the moral arbiter of the world. Like, how you gonna have him be a Hydra agent? They not only delivered on that and they basically referenced that and like how it's bullshit, they also concluded the arc and basically how in the Winter Soldier, Captain America becomes very, very dispassionate about the world. He's like this moral ideologue in his first movie, and in this one, he learns that basically everything he loved and fought for was a lie. And for him to say that, like, it adds such a layer of complexity to his fucking character. Like,
I also love that entire movie he's on the back foot against Shield, who is always one step ahead of him.
Yep.
But I love it that in that scene he's like 1,000 steps ahead of all of them because he's literally from the future. So he's just like, hey, Hydra. He's just like looking down on them. I love it.
I lost my shit with that part.
And
The
then he just walks out with
I
that cut was so great.
Thug life. Honestly, like I need to make a meme where it's like he walks out with the scepter, like the song that's la da 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 da. It's the motherfucking D double G. But the other one I want to talk about, we don't have to talk about all of them. There's
Cap
way too
versus
many.
Cap.
That one was hilarious. Like I
I
do this all
love.
day. I know
I
you
know.
can.
I know.
But the one that really fucked with me was fucking Black Widow and Hawkeye. Like that one was
Ugh. Them
like
fighting. The way that juxtaposes to the original sacrifice scene,
oh
where
yeah.
it's Thanos throwing Gamora, who's fighting him, off of a cliff, and then
Yeah.
juxtapose that with two characters fighting to be the one who dies.
Exactly. And this is so brilliant about it. In the first Avengers, when they capture Loki and Black Widow is talking to him and it's like, what are you doing with Barton? It's like, oh, do you love him? Black Widow is like, no, love is for children, but I owe him a debt. And basically, not only in that movie do you see the debt repaid because basically Hawkeye spared Black Widow's life back in Budapest, but also you learn that these two characters actually platonically or romantically or whatever actually love each other. And the
I don't think it
fact
was. I mean, I think you. I don't know if it ever. Do you think that it was intended to be romantic at any point? Because I think the implication is that he's been married for a while.
well, no, for sure, but like I'm saying romantically, like like the idea of like spending your life with like your best friend or something like that. I'm not saying romantically. Like, I love this person. I'm going to marry you and go down on you or whatever. But like, like the thing I want to get at here is like, each one was like they're so not willing to live without the other one, but both characters were completely willing to make the sacrifice for the other person to live. Like, and that was just such an awesome moment. And like, goddamn, like
I
fuck.
love. Yeah, I love how they continually fake it out. You keep thinking that one
Yeah,
of the characters is going to come out on top, and then the other character gets the upper hand.
yeah,
It was so.
yeah,
Man, it's weird to think that like three characters
yeah.
are now effectively out of commission. It's one of the things that I was doing earlier was counting up the post Endgame casualties. It's Loki,
Yep.
it's Loki, Gamora, Black Widow.
Wait. Gamora didn't get dusted though when Thanos snapped his fingers, right?
No, she was sacrificed.
But no. But I'm saying like in this present timeline though, Gamora is in this timeline because
Was
like
it's 2014 Gamora
yeah,
though.
exactly.
It's not,
So I guarantee one of the arcs of the Guardians 3 is going to be like convincing. It's gonna be like one of those romantic, like the Amnesia love story where it's like, no, we were married before. Like, believe me.
yeah, that's going to be interesting. But I think it's going to be interesting how they tackle that because I'm we kind of already saw that story in Guardians 1 with them sort of
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
with them sort of like the unlikely love story of them.
exactly. Yeah. It just sucks because like fuck, like Quill has lost literally everybody he has ever loved. He's literally lost them, and so like, yeah, like I guess from a selfish point of view, I want to see him like get back with Gamora, but I agree it would be kind of redundant for his character for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other character thing you want to talk about for Endgame? For,
Oh yeah, I mean I love the characterizations of the post defeat characters. Like I love the fact that the not just seeing them immediately after Infinity War, but the time skip, which helps us. It just exaggerates how each of these characters react to defeat. Like we see how Tony has moved on. We see how Banner has dedicated his time to solving a problem. We see how Thor is just broken, and we see how Cap, which I love most of all, is just Cap. He's the one character who's remained constant, while everybody else experienced change, and that's because he is that hopeful ideologue.
But like the thing is like I don't know if it's even hope in that case because like he attends a support group and like the thing that was really interesting is like I don't know if he's going to support group to support other people or because he's going because he actually needs help himself. Like it's like that's a thing where it's like because in the beginning of the movie, which first of all, the marketing for that movie was fucking genius. Like they teased the first 9 minutes of the movie as the entire film, which is crazy. But like when Cap says to Black Widow, I don't know what I'm gonna do if this doesn't work. Like I have no idea what I'm gonna do with my life. And like and then like the fact that like Cap like he's not as defeated as Black Widow. Obviously he's still like the stoic and powerful captain, but like it's the first time you actually see him actually admit that he's been defeated by his own experiences, which I think is like really impactful because, like you said, moral ideologue, but like even he's the one, even he reels from this terrible fucking thing that happened to them. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I also really like the music. I think Alan Silvestri outdid himself with this one.
Leitmotifs, though.
Yes, I love that they finally brought back a theme other than the Avengers.
Yeah,
Alan Silvestri has brought back the cat motif before, but I love that they brought back the Doctor Strange one with
yeah.
Tilda Swinton. That's one of my top 5 MCU themes, so I'm so glad.
Mm-hmm. Like, goddamn. Yeah, honestly, I haven't gushed with the soundtrack too much. Like, dude, like the way they use every single character's theme seamlessly with one another, like in the same scene. Like, I don't even. Goddamn. Like,
Yeah, I also think that time travel was the perfect mechanism to tie a universe together because
absolutely.
it lets you revisit stuff and give relevance to past movies. Like I said, I think it's genius.
Yeah, and it actually made Thor: The Dark World actually like not a complete abortion in my eyes, to be honest with you, because I hate that movie. But like honestly, the fact that like that premise. Thank you for showing me your shirt again. I appreciate it.
Oh, that wasn't intentional.
But like the fact that like the fact that they used that premise to give Thor the emotional rival that he needs for the movie, I thought was just like beautiful. And the fact that like his mom is like one of the one of I think 3 people in the movie to say it's going to be okay, and like that's a very very important theme in the movie because like it happens with Black Widow, Freya, and then finally Pepper at the end of the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Which fuck when, oh man.
I love how she spent the entire franchise freaking out at Tony whenever he was in a dangerous situation, and the last image he sees of her is her being calm and accepting of it.
That's the dude, like because like the whole theme of her arc in the story is like encouraging him to rest, encouraging him to like you're not gonna be able to rest unless you solve this. And as he's dying, like she's like smiling and is like laughing. It's okay, you can rest now. And as soon as the light leaves his eyes, she loses it. Like, what a fucking good performance from her. Like, goddamn.
Yeah, and I also love the reversal of Peter and Tony.
Yeah.
How this time it's Peter having to deal with Tony's death.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love how they even have a callback to the "I don't want to go" line, which is "We won," where he just keeps repeating it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me too. Like, and so like honestly, like Endgame and Infinity War are like neck and neck. Depending on what mood I'm in, Infinity War takes it. But like, now that I think about it, like, goddamn, like the fact that they gave almost every character an emotional arc in the movie that was finished, like, blows my mind. It really does.
Yeah,
like,
it never stops. Oh, sorry.
No, I wasn't saying anything. I was like, that's crazy. Yeah, go ahead.
What never ceases to blow my mind is how well the Russos adapted to ensemble stories. Like, how did they go from freaking Community to Winter Soldier to Endgame? How? What kind of trajectory is that?
Yeah, like, exactly. But like, I guess it makes sense because like in ensemble TV, like you have to like make sure every character is relevant in the story. But like the fact that they are able to do that from like sitcoms and shit, like the fact that they're able to weave 22 movies together seamlessly, like and like like Marcus and McFeely too. I mean like they I think I think the Russos were only consulted for the script for this one, and then Marcus and McFeely wrote this one by themselves. But all 4 wrote Infinity War together, I believe. But
really,
I'm pretty sure. Like
it really is a 4-man team though, because literally every Russo directed movie has been written by those guys.
Yeah.
So a lot of what people give credit to the Russo brothers for could also be attributed to them.
Yep, for sure.
I think they deserve a lot of credit too.
Oh, for sure. Because like you don't really see like this whole like. I mean, sometimes you do, I guess, but like this symbiotic of a relationship between writers and directors, and also and honestly, like a lot of the stories they're adapting and putting in their own movie weren't made by them. They weren't directed by them. And the fact that they still capitalize on the best parts of all of them.
Yeah, like when you listen to them on the commentary and how well they interact and how seamlessly they all think like as a collective mind, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's absurd. It really is. I'll probably see it 1 or 2 more times. To be honest with you, I want to go on IMAX, like because I mean You just got to do it in IMAX.
Yeah. Houston made a really good point in his recent video about Endgame where he just said that the Russo brothers' style is that they do everything really well.
Oh shit! I remember that in this video. Yeah. People chirp them for like not having style. I disagree, man.
Style doesn't have to be an obvious stylistic quirk.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and the whole thing they always talk about in the BTS and the B-roll and stuff, they literally say visual storytelling every other word, because like they want to make sure first everything is as ironclad as possible on the script, and basically they basically just tell like a book on the screen. And like you need to be really talented and need to be able to direct your actors really well, and need to be able to envision this entire thing before you even step foot in the set. It's very disingenuous to say they have no style. I think it's really stupid.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's like fucking ironclad. God damn. But yeah, man, fuck. Like that movie shook me really badly.
Yeah, I'm still recovering.
I know, honestly.
Do you think it's gonna be an Avatar?
I think so.
Really?
Because like, dude, like this is an emotional payoff that literally has everyone watching like 25 movies in a row to get to this movie. Avatar, the only reason why it made so much money is because it was the first movie to really double down on 3D and the whole like, experience of going to a 3D movie, and like everyone went like, they saw it in 2D. Like this would be amazing when you're seeing it in 3D.
Also an extended opening, right?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But if there ever was a movie that deserved to beat it, I think this is it.
Like this is infinitely a better movie than Avatar is. Like honestly,
Yeah.
Avatar is pretty mediocre.
I'm legitimately surprised at how many people have told me that they fell asleep while watching Avatar. It's literally almost every person I've talked to, including myself.
Like, I mean, I didn't fall asleep, and like the first time I saw it, I'm like, this is amazing. The second time I watched it, though, I'm like, this is literally Dances with Smurfs. Like it's fucking Dances with Wolves with blue people. That's like that's the movie. It's the only original part of it is the amazing CGI, which for the time period was jaw dropping. But that's really the only appeal that it has at a certain point. The story kind of sucks, and
I mean,
I don't know.
Props to Zoe Saldana for being in 3 of the top 5 highest grossing movies of all time.
I was gonna say, like, she's killing it, man. Like,
yeah,
goddamn.
She gets to stay on the boat. Or gets to hop from one boat to the other.
Yeah,
pun intended.
She can survive in the iceberg as opposed to dying up the ship.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, we've been talking for like 90 minutes, man. So I don't want to take too much of your time. But anything else you want to bring up as last minute things before we wrap it up?
I think that's it.
All right. Wow, you're easy, man. Cool.
I've never nothing to plug.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, this is awesome, and I definitely want to have you back on again sometime soon. We gotta find a good movie to do this with, like another long form thing. I mean, Endgame is rest in peace. But we'll find another movie to do this with. Is there anything like Marvel coming out? Like Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Far From Home. Far From Home.
Yeah. Whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll be in touch. But for the people,
maybe you could host a debate between me and Alex about this version of Spider-Man.
Ooh. Because I agree with some of your points, also some of his points too. Ooh, I might be a perfect mediator. Stay tuned. But
can you be unbiased enough?
Oh, dude, I'll ride the fence, man. I will be the most center of the centrists. But anyway, so tell the people who are going to watch this and people in the chat right now where they can find you.
You can find me at youtube.com/LawOfCinema. My Twitter handle is LawOfCinema, but I don't really tweet anything. I mostly just retweet. That's pretty much it.
Cool beans, man. All right, well, check him out. This is J. W. Man. This is Lone Chemist.
The most real podcast. Only the most real.
Episode 29. Peace out.